Hi, this is Fettah Mohamed, high school teacher of English. For today's session, we start from these two sentences. It is the same sentence, but it is written in a different way. Fettah wrote 5 stories this year. 5 stories were written this year. So the first thing to discuss here is the changes we have made moving from sentence number 1 to sentence number 2. Fettah wrote 5 stories this year, and here we have 5 stories were written this year, but we don't have Fettah, which is the subject in this sentence. So the first change is delete the subject. Okay, so we delete the subject. Next, we say Fettah wrote, but in this case we have were written. So we change tense of the verb. Fettah wrote 5 stories this year. 5 stories were written this year. So we recognize that 5 stories here comes first. So in this case, subject, verb, object. So here the object comes first. So this means we change order of the object. Okay? So moving from sentence to sentence number 1 to sentence number 2, so we have made 3 changes. The change number 1, delete the subject. So we deleted the subject, we don't have it here. Number 2, we changed tense of the verb. Here we have wrote, but here we have were written. Then we changed order of the object. So in sentence number 2, so the object comes first. So let's discuss these changes one by one. So when I say delete the subject, which is here is Fettah, so in this case we don't have the subject. So we delete the subject, but the meaning is still clear, and grammatically speaking the sentence is correct. But in this case, for the subject we cannot delete the subject. For example, if I say wrote 5 stories this year, so the meaning is not clear, and also grammatically speaking it's incorrect. But in this case, if I say 5 stories were written this year, and even we don't have the subject, so the meaning is clear. This means what? In this sentence, the subject is necessary in the sentence. Okay? So the subject is necessary in the sentence. But in the sentence number 2, so we don't have the subject, and the meaning is clear and correct. But if we delete the object and we say were written this year, and even we add the subjects and we say by Fettah, for example, if we say were written this year by Fettah, so the meaning is not clear. Were written this year by Fettah. So the question, there is something missing there, which is what? And that's why we cannot omit the object in sentence number 2. And this is why we say that in this sentence, the object is necessary in the sentence. Okay? And when I say that the subject is necessary in this sentence, this means what? And we know that the subject is the person who does the action. So when I say that the subject is necessary, it means giving importance to the person who does the action. Right, so when I say the subject or the doer of the action, the subject is necessary in the sentence. This means we give value or give importance to the person who does the action. But in this case, we don't care about the person who does the action because we can omit or delete the subject and we give importance to giving importance to the action itself. Right, so giving importance to the action itself irrespective of the person who does the action. And generally speaking, when we have a sentence in which we have the subject and we give importance to the person who does the action, so this is what we call active voice. And when we have a sentence in which we give importance to the action itself, irrespective of the person who does the action, so this is what is called passive voice. So the lesson of today is the active voice and passive voice, moving from active form to the passive form. And we mentioned here 3 changes that we have to abide by. So number 1, delete the subject. Number 2, or we can put it by the end, by and plus subject, like in this case. Then we have to change tense of the verb. And then we have to change order of the object. Because in the passive form, the object comes first. So we talked about this idea of subject. Now let's move and discuss tense of the verb. Right, so for sentence number 1 we have the verb wrote. And the verb is written in the simple past. But in sentence number 2, we have were written. Okay, so moving from the active form to the passive form, we change tense of the verb. If I have simple past, so the first thing that I have to do is to put verb to be in the tense of the sentence. If it is simple past, so verb to be in the simple past. And verb to be in the simple past, it is either was or were. Because we have 5 stories, plural form, so we put were. And then we put plus written, which is the verb in past participle. Okay? Let's have another example so that we can check your understanding. For example, if I have the verb, I have go, for example. Go or goes. So if I have the verb in the simple present, so what should I put in the passive form? The first verb to be in the passive form. So simple present, so verb to be in the present. It can be either or is or are, right? So this is verb to be in the present. And then put the verb in past participle. So go, went, gone. So we have to put gone. And still another example. Suppose that we have the simple future. For example, will play. The same, so verb to be in the tense of the verb in the active form, for the original form, so original sentence. So we put verb to be in the simple future, so it is will be, and then followed by past participle of the verb. played. Suppose that I have, for example, present perfect. So we have has done, for example. So the verb is in the present perfect, so we have to put verb to be in the present perfect. It can be has or have been. So verb to be in the present perfect, and then past participle of the verb, which is the verb which is done. Because we have do, the main verb is do, did, done. Sometimes we may have even models, can, may, could, and so on. Can, buy, for example. The same, so verb to be in the same thing. So can be, can buy, can be. And then past participle of the verb. Buy, bought, bought. Can be bought. Okay? Right, so this is in terms of changes in the tense of the verb. So we talked about this active voice and passive voice. What are the changes we have to abide by to move from, or to rewrite the sentence in the active form, to rewrite it in the passive form? So there are three changes that I have to abide by. So delete the subject, because in the passive form the subject is not necessary, so we have to put the object first. Then we have to change tense of the verb, and we have seen certain examples. And the most important thing to mention here is that to put verb to be in the tense of the verb that we have in the active form, and then if it is in the present, so we have to put it in the present. If it is in the past, verb to be in the past. Verb to be, if it is in the simple future, verb to be in the simple future, and so on. And then we add the verb in the past participle. In terms of change order of the object, so for example, I have wrote 5 stories this year. So subject, verb, object. So here we change it to put the object first. Okay, all the time. The question is here is how do we know the object? So if I want to know the object in the sentence, for example, if Fettah wrote 5 stories this year, so how do we know the object? If you want to know the object, you can ask 2 questions. There is a question with what, and there is a question with who. If you find the answer to this question, so this is the object. And if you find the question to this answer with who, with these 2 WH questions, so this is the object. Okay? Because in some cases, we'll discuss this. In some examples, we will have 2 objects because we have an answer to the question what and an answer to the question who. And the object is all the time noun or pronoun. It's like in this case, Fettah wrote 5 stories this year. So what did Fettah write this year? 5 stories. So 5 stories is the object, and that's why we put it first. Okay? Right, for more details, let's move to exercises. Right, so we start with the first exercise. We have 3 sentences and we have to rewrite them in the passive form. For sentence number 1, Yusuf speaks English at school. So we have to rewrite it in the passive form. And of course you can stop the video and try to answer by yourself, and then you can check the answers. So Yusuf speaks English at school. So if I want to write it in the passive form, so the first thing that I have to put here is the object plus verb to be, then plus verb in past participle, and then plus what follows. So all the time I have to follow these steps. Yusuf speaks English at school. So what is the object? And we said before, and I said before, that if I want to know the object, so I have to ask these, the answer to these two WH questions is the object. Yusuf speaks English at school. So what does Yusuf speak at school? He or Yusuf speaks English. So English is the object. Then we have verb to be, and I have to put verb to be in the tense of the verb. I have speaks. This means this verb is written in the simple present, so I should put verb to be in the simple present. It is am, is, or are. I have English, so I have to put is. Okay? Then we have the verb in past participle. I have speak, so the verb in the past participle, speak, spoke, spoken. So it is spoken. And then we continue what follows, spoken at school. English is spoken at school. Let's move to the second example. Siham will buy a new computer. The same, so what is the object? What will Siham buy? So Siham will buy a new computer. So this means that a new computer is the object, and then I should put verb to be. I have will buy. This means it is written in the simple future, so I should put verb to be in the simple future. So the simple future is will be plus past participle of the verb. So I have the verb is buy, bought, bought. Okay? So a new computer will be bought. And of course, if I want to add subjects, I say by Siham. Next, the third example. The government cancelled all flights because of the virus. So once again, the object. So what did the government cancel because of the virus? So the government cancelled all flights. So all flights is the object. Then it is followed by verb to be in the tense of the verb. I have cancelled. Cancelled is written in the simple past. So I have to put verb to be in the simple past. It is was or were. I have all flights, so I should put were. And then followed by past participle of the verb. I have cancel, cancelled, cancelled. Cancelled. So all flights were cancelled because of the virus. Okay? So this is how we rewrite sentences in the active form. We rewrite them in the passive form. The first thing to put is the object, and to know the object we should ask this WH question with what. Then move to write verb to be in the tense of the verb in the original sentence in the active form. So if it is in the simple present, verb to be in the present. If it is in the simple future, verb to be in the simple future. If it is in the simple past, so verb to be in the simple past. And then followed by past participle of the verb. Okay? Right, so let's move to exercise number 2. Rewrite the following sentences in the passive form. I washed my car yesterday. And we said that to rewrite the sentence in the passive form, so the first thing that you have to look for is the object. After the object, you have to put verb to be in the tense of the verb that we have in the sentence. And then verb in past participle. We're talking about the main verb. And then followed by what follows. So these are the steps that you have to follow. I washed my car yesterday. And we said to know the object, we have to ask the question with what. What did I wash yesterday? My car. So my car is the object. Then move to write verb to be. I have washed, it is written in the simple past. This means verb to be should be in the simple past. And verb to be in the simple past, it is was or were. My car was. Then past participle of the verb. I have washed. Wash, washed, washed. Then what follows? Yesterday. So my car was washed yesterday. Next, Ayman was playing the guitar. What was Ayman playing? The guitar is the object. Then move to verb to be. I have was playing. It is written in the past continuous. So verb to be in the past continuous. Was being or were being. The guitar was being. And then we put past participle of the verb. The verb is play. So the past participle of the verb, play, played, played. The guitar was being played by Ayman. Next, bad drivers cause many road accidents. So, what do bad drivers cause? Many road accidents. So many road accidents is the object. Then move to verb to be. Cause is written in the simple present. So verb to be in the present, is, are. Many road accidents are. Then past participle of the verb cause. Caused. Many road accidents are caused by bad drivers. Okay? You should open the window in the morning. So what should you open in the morning? The window. Then verb to be should open, should be. Then past participle of the verb. I have opened, opened. And then what follows? In the morning. Now let's move to the last example. She gave me a letter. What did she give me? A letter. So, a letter is the object. Now let's ask the question with who. To whom did she give a letter? To me. So, me should be first. But me, we don't write me, we say I when it comes to play the role of a subject. So this means that we don't have only one object in this sentence, we have two objects. We have this one, it is an object, and this one, it is an object. To differentiate between them, we say that this is direct object and this is indirect object. She gave me a letter. And when we ask with what, so a letter And when we ask with who or to whom did she give the letter, it is me. So in this case I have the choice. I can start with a letter with the direct objects or the indirect object. So a letter, then verb to be, I have gave. So verb gave in the simple past, so verb to be in the simple past was or were. So a letter was. Then past participle of the verb give, given. Given to me. Okay? By, we have she, so by her. A letter was given to me by her. Why? Because we don't say by she. If it is I, we say by me. If it is he, by him. If it is she, by her. If it is we, by us. If it is you, by you. If it is they, by them. If it is we, by us. So a letter was given to me by her. Now if I start with I, the same. So I is followed by verb to be in the past. Was. The same thing. So past participle of the verb. Given. So I was given what? A letter. I was given a letter by her. Right, so in general, this is an example of how to rewrite a sentence in which we have two objects. We have indirect objects and direct objects. If you start with the direct object, so we have to write it this way. And if you start with the indirect object, so you have to start this way. And the same, they have the same meaning and so on. Right, so that's it for the passive voice and how to rewrite the sentence in the passive voice or the passive form. We talked about different changes that you have to abide by, and there are steps that you have to follow if you want to write it correctly. So that's all. See you then.